The first guitar viol I played was one that Gary Leonelli had. And it was a one-off that Jonathan had made. And it was an instrument that I think was more of an experimental thing. It didn't have a cutaway.
John Frizzell and I met at an amp show. We both live in the Palisades. Shortly thereafter, you know, he came over to my studio and he saw this.
Gary let me borrow it, and I was playing around with it and was very interested in it. But I was bothered by a few things with it. In particular, I was really wondering about the strings.
It had guitar strings on it, and it sounded cool, but it was a little thin. And it seemed the logical choice would be, well, why not put cello strings on it, because that's what cellos use and they get a big sound.
And so Gary and I started doing experiments. We just started ordering cello strings and talking to Jonathan. And that's how kind of the conversation got going with it.
You know, this was sort of the early stages of Jonathan, you know, having created the acoustic version of the guitar viol. So we felt like we had an opportunity to have some input with him, because he was experimenting too, and he was really open to, you know, what anybody would have to say that might be using the instrument.
And that, to me, was the most exciting part of the whole thing, that music and the creation of a musical instrument is a conversation between those who play it and those who create it.
I don't know if it was always the most friendly conversation. You know, sometimes, you know, it was a little tense.
We had discussions about the strings, but I would say they bordered on arguments. I mean, we really got into it.
We try one thing, and then that would lead to something else, and then we try that, and we try different brands of strings, and we try, you know, he would go with a different sort of a fret or whatever he wanted to do to make sure that it wouldn't rip apart the strings.
The point wasn't to try to get this to sound like a cello. You wanted it to go into its own direction. And something about the nylon hair on the bow with the cello strings is where you got that loneliness, that mournful, fascinating, captivating sound that was very intriguing but unrecognizable. You just couldn't pull where it comes from.
Hopefully it wasn't too aggravating for him to put up with our you know, insistence on all this different stuff.
But I'm glad we did it. I think we made a lot of interesting music happen.